Should not be too much attached to even animals. They can be they can be in your realm or you can be in their realms. too much too much attachment can lead to either way. Attachment is in any form is not so good. Although you can be compassionate, you can be kind, that's all okay. Sometimes it so happens that it like you can live without it or something, then it's a problem. It's with everything, like with the food, with all the possessions you have. There are certain things in our life.
I have a friend, somehow she was able to meet some lay people. They are not actually Buddhist, but they somehow have a super power to tell who you were, what you were in your previous life. And she was told about 2000 years ago she was a dog. And in this life, she was so compassionate with the dogs. And she herself even have such a loyal personality towards everything, especially towards friends or her family members. So I was wondering, maybe that person who said that about her previous life was correct because her personality was so close to the dog's traits.
Yeah, you don't have to be a Buddhist to become, achieve those jhanic stages or something. There is a story about Todeya. Todeya, there was one Brahmin. He was a rich man, and one day he passed away, but he was not respectful to the Buddha, and he didn't want his wife to give alms to the Buddha and the monks. And one day when after death, it is said he was born as a dog.
Well,
And yeah, his son was taking care of it. And then one day the Buddha was going through, passing by, and then the dog started barking at the Buddha. And then the Buddha said, Thodaya, before this birth also you were angry with me, even now you are angry with me. And then the son was a little bit upset, how come you insult my my father like that? And then Buddha said, I'm not insulting, actually, it's really your father, your former father. And and then how do you prove? Like he said, you can I can tell you a trick, like you can give him some good food, shower him and show him some compassion for several days uh, uh, in a row, and then finally you can ask him, can you show me the hidden treasure? So he did the same thing. And then the dog was very happy when he was showered, and he was given some good food. And then the son was asking, father, can you show me your hidden treasure? And then he was upset, and he went to the kitchen, and he was hiding there. And then so he kept doing it, and then later it is said that he was scratching somewhere in the house, and that was where he was hiding his treasure. So then this guy, he actually asked the Buddha about the karma. Why does it happen to some people, like they are like good looking, some people are not so good looking, some people are rich, the others are not rich, why does it happen? Why this variation? Why this vividity everywhere? And then the Buddha talked about the karma. Karma is one thing that can make, creates the difference between you and the others. So your own karma, you are the owner, you are the heir. You can be in a good spot, or even in a bad spot, because of your own good or bad karma. So it's an interesting teaching about uh, karma that happens, I think, in Chulla Kama Vibhanga Sutta. Did I share you the link in Chulla Kama Vibhanga Sutta? I think I have shared it today. Yeah, it is. It is there. You can maybe have a look. I just shared quite a few uh, links here for you to have a look, maybe whenever you have some time. And today being the last day, don't worry, we will not post more links now. Um, yeah, that is about Chulla Kama Vibhanga Sutta, Satta Visuddhi. Okay, yeah, this is the one. See, Majjhima Nikaya 135, shorter exposition of karma. I Did we read this before yesterday? Sherry, did you read this? Maybe yes.
Yeah, we read the beginning of it yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is about that. So this is about that Thodeya. You see, Thodeya. So Thodeya's son. So Thodeya became a dog. Interesting. And also it is said, Manena makkato hoti atimanena kukkuto. So when you have too much ego, you can become makkata is monkey, and atimanena kukkuto. Uh, when you have more ego, you can become a dog. And dogs, of course, the dogs that you have, the cats and dogs, they are they are very close to the human realm, I'm sure. But most of the dogs, like homeless ones or stray dogs, nobody cares about them. They don't have food to eat, like they sleep anywhere and people will kick them. That's like they are being so much humbled. And so because of their ego they suffer. Kind of karmic connection can also be there. uh, it's complicated, but um, yeah, certain animals, it is said. And one time, the Buddha said, there was one young he was yeah there was a line of monks walking along the paddy field, the paddy fields. So when they were walking, there was some, what do you call it, water path, a small water path. Yeah, so that from one passage of the paddy field The water is diverted to the other section. There was a small water there, and all the monks in the line, they were just they did not jump over. They just went down and then uh, went to the other side. And this young monk, he jumped from one side to the other. This was very easy for him to jump, like just 2 3 feet. So he jumped from one side to the other, and then the other monks were very unhappy about that. Why did you do like that? And then it is said, he had been a monkey before. He had these monkey habits. So the animal habits can be with us too. And one monk was having a problem, like when he was listening to Dhamma talk, he always would sleep. He cannot keep his eyes open all the time, like drowsing. He's feeling drowsy all the time. And then it is said he was like a snake before. The snakes also sleep a lot. So some of those animal traits, we never know, can be with us. Some can be angry because of those some of the traits of the animals. Yeah, um, we also have become humans, but we also have been uh, with some links, connections to previous births. Some like devas, wonderful qualities, or brahmas. Those qualities can also be with us. You can see some people, although they are like humans, but they don't act like humans. Right? You can see some people, there are people like that. So maybe just immediately before that, they were in a kind of bad realm. Maybe the asana chitta was a little bit good somehow, somewhere.
Then
Okay, I
Bante,
think.
I was wondering if with the traits we got from previous lives, then what can we do that we will have a traits to become a monks or nuns in the future lives?
Can you repeat?
I said,
If
what do we do so we can have a traits in the future lives we might become a monk or a nun?
Yeah, that can happen.
I know what
It
do we
can.
do though? What do we practice? What do we do now? So we will have the traits.
So all these things can happen to you, like um, when you see others doing and you motivate yourself. I wish I also become a Buddha, you know. So that's how those the Gautama Buddha, when he saw as a just normal person, he saw a Buddha, and he was very fascinated. He was very, but he didn't tell that to other people. In his mind, he was thinking. This is called mental paramita. Okay, he was thinking only, never expressed that, and he was thinking and thinking for many births before revealing itself to other people. I'm going to be a Buddha. I wish I would become also a Buddha. It can happen. And so when you see somebody doing something like that, you would also do like that. Like all the Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Moggallana, even Rahula, Prince Rahula. He was a friend actually. He and I think Venerable Mahakasapa or something. They were friends in Vipassi Buddha's time, and that time it is said the Buddha went to Naga world, and then this man saw king's son or something. He saw um, the Buddha coming with his son. Buddha's son also became a monk. They were all there, and having seen the Buddha's son, this young prince, he wanted to also become Buddha's son. In his last birth, I wish I would become uh, a son of the Buddha. So that was his wish. And then so they think of it, they continue to think of it, and then you do something towards that. And let's say like you want to become a monk or a nun, so you can think of it first, and then maybe you can discuss with your with your parents or your family members. Maybe I wish I could become a monk or a nun, for at least for a while. Why not? So you can get some temple training, monastic training. So you can do that. Not everyone in the world can be so, right? But in Sri Lanka, we have like 30 to 40,000 monks, like 10,000 temples, 700 monastic schools. So that's well scattered everywhere. So one out of family, at least become a monk for a while at least. So some of them would become a monk for the rest of their life, but some of them would change. That's up to their karma too. Um, and yeah, it can happen. How come Bhikkhu Bodhi wanted to become a monk? I'm always thinking. And then he went to Sri Lanka. He stayed there 24 years. And how come Bhikkhu Thanissaro wanted to become Ajahn Brahm, Oxford graduate. He became a monk too. And see how they are doing so well. It can happen. Like even though they have been far away, it's like when you land from heavenly worlds, maybe you still wanted to, somewhere, somehow, when you get the triggering point, just a little bit of something is enough for you to blossom. They are flowers, they are buds just about to be blossomed. Just something is enough for them to bloom, and they get it. That's how it happens. So make a habit, and also keep prayers, wishes, um, and work with the good people, associate with them. Okay, and we have an announcement from Venerable Kongya. She says. Uh, Mock exam will be on May 2nd, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time. That's for here, I think 6 a.m. So it is for registered students only. So just for your information, please go ahead, and I think you have to do you have to let them know? I don't know how it goes. Um, so is it, yeah, next time when we meet, it will be mock exam time. I would like to invite Dr. Beth Jacobs to talk about a little bit about the mock exam revision.
Well, yeah, really what we both wanted to do is ask a question of the class about the revision day, which I think that means like a review day. And since you've all been together a while and had a lot of classes, we really wanted to ask you what you have found useful on revision day, because we can prepare it however works for you. And I think so we just wanted to know if there was anything you wanted to tell us about what would be most useful for that day. I believe that Bante can only be here that morning because his temple's, isn't that May 1st when you're having a big celebration? I know it sounds like his temple's having big
Yeah.
celebrations every day, but it's just been scheduling. So anyways, Yeah, what has been useful in the past and would help with getting ready for the mock exam? Same thing.
Hitting the high points would be nice.
Yeah, I hate to put it as simple as the important stuff, but yeah, the absolute beyond a shadow of a doubt need to understand this stuff for grasping the concept of the Abhidhamma. I don't know how else to explain it.
So sort of pull out really essential.
Yeah.
Of course, it all is essential, but the more essential of the essential, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I would also say, some of you who might not be, so much speaking in class, or if you have ideas later, feel free to email us also. If you have thoughts, but you would just like a kind of review of where we've been with the kind of bold points forward for you. Okay, no problem, right, Bante?
Okay.
That's
Just heads up for you. Think of it, and so you can let us know. We will be happy to help you. And and this is just an introduction to Abhidhamma. It's not really an advanced Abhidhamma course. I remember Venerable Jnanaratana from Kelaniya University, he reiterated that. Remember, this is introduction to Abhidhamma. So although we of course had sometimes we had some in-depth discussions, but it's good. But officially, we just wanted to introduce Abhidhamma to everyone, so that eventually you should be able to learn a little bit more about that. This book, if you want path of purification, Visuddhi Magga, would be a good idea to have a look. I shared the link today also. Maybe later on you can see. They are very helpful. Abhidhamma Sangaha and Visuddhi Magga.
Yes. Yeah, you're not going to have to lay out those 121 types of cheetahs. I'm just telling you that right now. But I will say one aside though from the assignments. In an introductory class, a really important thing is the idea of like just understanding it in your experience. And I think you've all done a really good job with that. And not only that, but I think a lot of you have talked about using the information to actually change your experience, to view it differently, and to decrease your suffering in your interactions and in your experience. And that has really been very touching and moving to us, I think, when we've read what you've written. So, mock exam or not, I think it's already clear that a lot has happened. So I appreciate that very much.
Okay.
So, yeah. Should I talk about temperament for a few minutes, Bante?
I think that will be a good idea.
Okay,
See,
kind
we
of
have
fits in.
so different temperaments already.
Yes, so many. Because it kind of picks up on this. Bante already kind of gave us a sense of the temperaments and the match with the meditation subjects, but I want to say a couple of other things from different angles. One point that Toshita made, I think, is very important that I want to bring in, is he was saying you're sort of getting a feel for the mental states and the realms and how that moves together. And when we talk about temperament, we're really talking about the ways that the psychology and the kind of cosmology are inseparable. They're not the same thing, but they are inseparable. And temperament is a very interesting topic that way. Temperament is like saying personality structure. And there's not a ton in the Abhidhamma about it. Now, most of what is written about these temperaments is in the Visuddhi Magga. that Bhante pointed out. And there is also, I want to remind you that, remember way back when you were memorizing the books, the fourth book, Pugala Panyati, this is about personality types, and it's a very different book than the rest of the Abhidhamma, and some people say it was just meant to be a supplement. It's kind of in a more sutta style. It's all similes, and it's all kind of relative conceptual truths about people as, you know, a relative truth, but it's really interesting. It's numerical, like there's designation of human types by ones, by twos, by threes, you know. I just opened it during the break. Here's one, division of human types by 7. This is, how is a person who is once drowned just drowned? And they're talking about like how a person emerges. So this is kind of interesting because it is about this whole idea, Lisa, that you're asking about, is if temperament is fixed, how do we change? If karma is a given, how do we evolve it? So this, you know, they're talking about a person who's drowned. Here a certain person is possessed of absolutely black immoral qualities. Such a person, being once drowned, is just drowned. And number 2 is, how is a person drowned after emergence? And here they describe a person who emerges with faith and conscientiousness and energy and insight, but they neither persist nor grow. These qualities decrease. That person is drowned after emergence. And then they talk about a person who persists after emergence, and a person who looks about after emergence, and a person who swims after emergence, and a person who reaches fixed footing after emergence. And what sort of person is a true Brahmin after emergence? And those are your 7 people that they talk about in terms of this simile of drowning and emerging. There's a whole lot of stuff in this thing about, it's a very, I don't know, it's just an interesting kind of poetic book. But to get back to what we're studying in the Visuddhimagga, those 6 temperament types, as you can see, are based on the root qualities, the 6 roots. So this is another example of how a concept kind of moves through the Abhidhamma. Now, the root quality, you remember, is the first of the 24 modes of conditioning. So in this case, you're talking about conditioning of the temperament of the person. Is a very, very strong factor in a life. It kind of moves from, like, you know, the idea that there are chitta to there are mental formations to there's personality. That's like building on the kind of scale of how we manifest karma. Western psychology does a very good job of describing temperament and talking about how it originates within a lifetime. But this is exactly where, for me, the glass ceiling of psychology blew apart, because you can say a lot about temperament, okay? We're born very physically dependent. We're born with certain kind of wiring in our bodies. We process information a certain way. We process food a certain way. We have sleep cycles. We interact with a caregiver for a long time. Those interactions start to delimit how our neurons connect. And all of this builds and builds. And we have a temperament as a human being. But then we have to ask, well, why did we start with this body that's wired this way? Why did we start with those parents who treated us this way, or those caregivers? Why were we born in this culture and time and planet? You know, we have so many questions about temperament that aren't answered by psychology looking within the lifetime. So that's kind of how I moved out of psychology. But what we're doing here, I mean, we are looking at temperament, those 6 kinds of temperaments in terms of karma. So in the Visuddhimagga, I'm just going to lay out the temperaments and a little bit of what it said about the karma. So we have this lustful temperament that is mostly based on greed, the hateful temperament, the deluded, delusional temperament, Then when you get to the positive ones, they're not exactly like the opposites of the roots. The non-greed is the faithful type of person that maybe like the person that was the dog before. They're very honest, sincere, trusting, careful. And then the opposite, the non-hate person, is this kind of intellectual person, the understanding person, the intelligent person. And then the non-delusional person is the discursive person, sometimes called speculative. So that person in the Visuddhimagga is the one they describe as smoking by day and flaming at night. No, I had that backwards. I always get that backwards because visually the way I just said it works, but logically it's actually the other way, smoking by night and flaming by day. This person is a person who's just all over the place, really erratic, like attention issues. That's a speculative person. And these, these pair up like the roots. There's the pairs, the greed and the faithful person. They're drawn to objects, but they're drawn in a different way. The greed person is drawn in an unwholesome way, and then the faithful person is drawn in a wholesome way. The faithful person seeks out virtue and qualities and gives up what is not beneficial, whereas the greed person is just holding on to everything. Then the hate and the intellectual people are kind of more pushing away the object. But the way they say it in the Visuddhimagga, I like, hate condemns living beings, understanding condemns formations. So the opposite there, you're pushing away objects, but in this discerning way. You're pushing away, you're actually trying not to cling, is what I think they're saying, in a very thoughtful way. And then the deluded person and the discursive person, they're both kind of unsure. But the deluded person is unsure in this superficial way. They're like glancing off of everything, where the discursive person is kind of looking at too much at the same time. They're not filtering well. That's the discursive person. So think about your own temperament and pick your type. And you have to pick from the last three because you're all in there. You wouldn't be where you are if you weren't. So, but you have a sense of, are you more like a devotional, faithful person, a more thought-heady, cerebral person, or just a more like scattered, I'm taking it all in person? And these are like the positive ends. So they talk about the karma involved. The greedy person, and this is all from the Visuddhimagga. It's a very interesting section if you want to look at it. And it's in the 90s page number, but it's under temperaments. The greedy person had a lot of gratifying work in the past or was in the heaven realm in a prior life. So the greedy person has been like overly gratified. The greedy person they're kind of describing as like comically spoiled, I think. Then the hateful person, this is a quote, had plenty of stabbing and torturing and brutal work to do, or they were in a hell realm in a prior life. So they're resenting, they've done a lot of bad stuff. Then the deluded person, they say, formerly drunk a lot of intoxicants and neglected learning and questioning, or they were in the animal realm in the prior life. So that's kind of the karma that is attributed to the different temperaments. But, temperament is by definition kind of fixed, but I don't think it really is. I think that temperament can change. It cannot change, in my experience, quickly. And it does take a lot of persistence. I remember once somebody called me up. The people I see in therapy, I see for a long time because things are slow. And, if I could speed it up, I would, but I can't figure out how. I remember somebody called me up. He was a dentist and he said, how long would I be in therapy? Sort of described his problems. And I said, I can't really give you an estimate, but he really persisted. We went back and forth. And so I said, really, what you're describing, I'm going to say like 8 years. And he said, okay, bye. Never heard from him again. So, if you can't put in the time and that kind of persistence and that sense of not looking for immediate reward, then it's very hard to change temperament. I think two things we've talked about also show up in this topic, and one is bhavanga. I think that bhavanga is a carrier of temperament, but remember that the bhavanga is only there when there is no active cognition. So while the bhavanga has the qualities of the last chitta of the prior life, it also, it's not going to change its qualities during your lifetime, but there's all this active stuff going on that can. The other thing is anusia, we talked about, which is the latent tendencies. Those are expressions of temperament. A certain temperament will have certain anusia, I think, tendencies that will come up when, as Bhante says, when the conditions are ready, when everything comes together, these tendencies will come up. So these are descriptions in the Abhidhamma of things that we call personality. And also, like Bhante said, this is the fun part of the Visuddhimagga. They really describe these different temperaments in terms of like how you walk, how you sweep, how you sleep, your stance, how you make your bed, how you see things. I'll just tell you, my favorite one is how you sleep. The greed person sets up the bed really carefully and sleeps really well and wakes up really slowly. The hate person flings themselves in bed, sleeps with a scowl, and wakes up annoyed. I mean, these are real things. These are how we express ourselves. The delusional or the discursive person spreads the bed all awry and sleeps face downward, gets up slowly and says, hum. That's a quote, hum. But, these are just like the details, but I love the stories from Bhante because it is true. If you had a certain thing and you carefully watched a bunch of people do this certain thing, you would really have a good feel for their temperament. So whether it is, eating a banana or sweeping, if you watched a bunch of children carefully, you would know who was more inclined towards the thoughtful life of study and being a monk and practice. I love that. But the Visuddhimagga spells out a lot of it, and it's very, very interesting. And then, Bhante told us about the pairings with the meditation topics, the kamatana, the working grounds of our meditation, the objects. A lot of them counter the inclinations, and a few of them amplify, like the faith person, I believe, is the one who, does concentrate on the three jewels and morality and generosity and devas. So I think in that case, the meditations are just bringing them sort of some kind of solider base. I have a chart that's kind of the other direction. Would I be able to screen share, or should I just put it in? Okay, I'm gonna show you this just very briefly. It's the opposite direction of what Bhante showed us. And this is from the comprehensive manual. And all right, you guys, this is, yay. I actually put it on a Word. This is advanced for me. I cut and paste, and then I put it in a Word document so that I could blow it up a little bit. But this is just the opposite, where it gives you the 40 subjects, and then it tells you which temperament. And there was a lot of other stuff on this chart, but I thought this was the interesting part, so I just cut this off. So as opposed to looking at your type and then seeing what your best meditation objects would be, this looks at the objects and lays it out according to the types. And so you have, as Bhante was saying, the element kasinas are for everyone, and space and light for everyone, and also the immaterial states. And then the rest are broken down according to these types. And it's a really interesting thing to consider. I think I'll throw it into the Slack if you want to look at it more later. But I think the important thing one other important thing here is that it's very personalized, and the religion is kind of personalized. And that's also why I put up that little sutta about the 5 methods of thought suppression, because there's so many things where the Buddha gives us a range of options of how to work. And it is really, you know, kind of the questions we were asking earlier about finding teachers and finding methods. It is all of our own empirical responsibility to try to figure out what works best for us. But we're given such a range of possibilities. It's like the best eclectic therapy in the universe, I won't even say the world, that we can work with all of these different things for our temperaments. But it's really important to understand that I would say that our temperaments are the main ways that we express karma as humans. And that we have to understand that we have limited understanding about how we got these temperaments, but that we have infinite resources about dealing with them. So that's basically all I wanted to add about the topic of temperament. Are there any thoughts there or questions?
You're in chipmunk mode.
What is that mode? I've never heard.
Can we have a translation?
Yeah, yeah. I think he's working on it.
This connection might be unstable, huh?
Is it possible for a person to decide what their own temperament is without somebody from the outside saying, oh, no, you're wrong? Or
That's interesting. I think that it almost depends on your temperament, whether you have the objectivity to to be able to assess it. So I would say when we look at these 6 types, if you're deluded or speculative, well, no, I'm just going to say deluded, you're unlikely to be able to identify your temperament. But I think if you study Dhamma in any other case, you probably could identify your own temperament.
So if we show you the temperaments right now, would you be able to recognize it? Do you think so?
In what way do you mean?
Like,
Oh.
let's say, like we give them.
Oh, the actual Pali terms.
Yeah. So would you be able to recognize? This is according to type A and type B, right?
Mm-hmm.
Type A is competitive, time urgent, hostile, and aggressive. Type B is relaxed, patient, easygoing. Also, something to do with certain.
Yeah, definitely. The type A is probably, you could say I would say hateful. Well, it's a combination of hateful and lustful, but also type A is very much what we call the Titan realm. You know, it's very interesting. All the psychological things break down very similarly, like the Myers-Briggs or even the Freudian personality composition. And type B sounds very much like the faithful to me.
Mm-hmm. Saddha Acharya, right?
How about now? Is it still chipmunk mode?
You're good now.
Oh, so I was going to say something. I was just going to make a, I guess, comment on what Beth said a few minutes ago about someone who was tortured in the previous life, is angry this life, such and so forth. I found it fascinating because that's kind of tied to the 5 precepts. Do not kill, do not take intoxicants, do not lie, such and so forth. So you can control. So trying back to Lee's question, can you control your own temperament? I think you can. That's the whole point.
That is our effort. I agree with you. That is our effort. But your temperament, will, maybe you could say, is going to tell you what you're working against, what kind of forces are going to be the most difficult for you. but that is our whole practice in a way, is taking what, I think that's interesting. The paramitas and the precepts, if you're unsure, are going to guard you against all the temperamental problems if you really follow them. If you're unsure where to, where to be working.
Right. For most times, I think for all of us, I mean, I can speak for myself. So in my case, recognizing my own weaknesses and acknowledging them, that I think is the first barrier. So if you can recognize your own problems, your weaknesses, whatever that might be. For example, I know for a fact, I go from 0 to 100 in a split second on certain situations. But what I've been trying to do is try to recognize it so I can try to control the speed.
Yes.
And I notice that my blood pressure is rising, trying to control it. So that way, that's my own way of doing temperament control. Not successful at it at all, but I'm trying, I'm working on it. So,
Absolutely.
So I think from a very psychological point of view, a lot of people, what a lot of people, it's easy to look at someone else and say, oh, you are like this kind of person, you are that kind of person, and whatever. What's hard is to realize, yeah, you are pointing one finger at someone else. At the same time, you're having 4 fingers pointed at you. So not being able to recognize, it's easy to criticize others, but not, humans are not wired to self-criticize.
It's very true. That's the last thing we like to do. It's true. And we all go from 0 to 100 sometimes. It's just different what sets each of us off. And I will say this, just like psychologically, you get more leverage on the front end than the back end. So what I think it really helps people is when you're not being triggered, to get in there and really analyze. And this gets back to those 5 steps of thought suppression that Buddha described very much. He's talking about analyzing it. And really, like, when you understand, like, as you are doing, Toshita, and as we all try to do, is like looking at it clearly, looking at the earliest cue of your triggers, so that you don't wait until you're ready to blow, but you see, hey, I'm getting, the steam is starting to come up out of my head. Knowing the earlier cues and really unraveling. This is where I think analytic therapy and Buddhism go together beautifully. You need to unravel the personal and karmic effects that have gotten you to where you are. You need to understand them. You need to not stay there and analyze them forever either. But the more you understand on the front end, and the more you really work with, I think actually, like Bhante says, forming positive thoughts that counteract your problems, the more you're doing that on the front end, the less you're going to see it exploding. As we all know, once the horse is out of the barn, it's hard to get it back in. So it's much more effective to be working on the barn and the horse before that all happens, which is what I think you're talking about doing, and is really important. And I think all of you have used information in this class to be doing that. And that's why this information is useful. It's not just interesting, although it is incredibly fascinating, but it's also gives us more tools on the front end to be dismantling our anyasya, our reactivity, our temperamental issues. We're dismantling the personality structure of us. It's a big job.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What do you think of the way people bully others? What kind of trait is that?
Bullying others?
When you
Dosa.
Yeah, it is hate. It is also the opposite of what you were talking about earlier, Bhante, the people who have so much trouble with sympathetic joy. And I think that's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of envy and jealousy in it. But like Toshita was saying too, we point outward naturally. We just really want to, we project. Buddha talks about projection, mental imputations all the time. We just take what we don't like and we put it out there and we fight it out there instead of just stopping and dealing with it inside. So I think that's bullying. And it's epidemic proportions right now. And I think the thing that's so bad about it, besides that it's so out of control, is that it's younger and younger and younger people. And I feel like, there used to be a more innocent, protracted period in human life, which is no longer there. It's very sad.
So when you have problem dealing with the mudita, I always say, you have a mantra to deal with it. That
Yes.
is sadhu. So keep your palms together, close to your heart, and say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This person has done so much good in his past, and that's why he looks good. That's why he's smarter. That's why he's better, richer than me. So he also works hard. I should do the same. I'm so happy for him. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That way, actually you have to make it a habit. Every time you see, you can sense it. Oh, the anti mudita is coming. Jealousy is coming to me. So you should be able to recognize it, and someone keep your palms together. And maybe the other people will also recognize you have now jealousy in you. This is really working very well. I have actually introduced this method to some people. They say it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
it makes all
hopefully,
the sense in the world that it would work. That's like you catch it in the smaller experience and you stop it. That's a great way to do it.
Bhante, I like the term anti-mudita.
Yeah, we need a word for that.
So actually, all of us, we always think I am right, others are wrong. We always try to glorify ourselves, highlight ourselves. I am the best, I, me, myself. That's our problem. That ego is our problem. So only when we are ready to accept our fault, our mistake, our error, then only we have the chance to rectify that mistake. Until and unless we keep justifying, I'm correct, the other guy is wrong. And as long as you do it, you have no chance to come out of that that is a fixation in a way. So it's really hard. Make it a habit to be simple, humble. That is why in Buddhist practices, you sit on the floor. One way of doing it, like to be humble. And also you once a month, so you wear some plain clothes, no ornaments, no perfume, no makeup, nothing. Just be simple, and then wear some simple white clothes and sit on the floor and practice. That keeps you closer to the Mother Earth, and that makes you simple and humble. And everyone in that community, in that group, they are all equal, like richer or poor, smart or whatever, they are all same. That makes people humble. So there are some tricks that in the traditional Buddhist countries they employ, and that really works. Sometimes it can happen.
Mhm.
Sit on the floor,
Right.
closer to the Mother Earth.
And simpler. Lisa, did we answer your question or in this?
Oh, I just thought about the bullying. Do you see bullying a person who likes to bully other people? Is that selective? He only chooses certain people. He wouldn't do that to everyone.
It's interesting. It's true.
That's a characteristic of a bully, isn't it? Bullies only bully people who can be bullied. So bullies don't like to get bullied.
So what would you say? You must have some kind of vibrations that will attract people to bully you. For the person that who wants to bully other people, when they choose, how do they choose? They will say, I'll pick the A instead of picking C.
Well, if I could chime in, as somebody who was picked on through middle school, high school, and then for a good majority of my life, there is no rhyme or reason. Normally, it's they'll pick something, and then they'll get other people to agree or confirm those kind of things. They do it for the attention. They do it for what they feel is a popularity contest, that they're better than somebody else. I mean, there is no rhyme or reason. They will come up with some excuse as to why they want to do it, whether they are envious or jealous of something that you have and they're taking that out on you, or they don't like something about you, so they just make it well known. There's no set standard as to why a bully is a bully. It could be that they have an abusive household and that they come into school or work and take that out on other people. But it comes a point where like they either need to be an adult and grow out of the bullying, not saying that kids bullying is justified, but they have that mindset where they don't know any better, or they don't think and therefore don't know any better. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but there is no rhyme or reason to it.
No, but I was thinking, yes, they do want to have that act to bully somebody. But out of these many students, they have to pick one person to do it. Why is that particular person being picked?
So just
roll
like
of the
Corey.
dice.
So yeah, so Corey, we need to sit down sometime, because I think we seems to have had similar childhoods growing up. So I was picked and bullied until I think I was maybe 8th grade, 9th grade. I can vividly remember. So going to school was a drag because I was getting bullied. And I realized part of the reason is I was good at my studies. The person who was bullying me was not good at studies. And I think their parents knew about me. So at home, I think he was being pressured to work like me or something along those lines. Why can't you be like Toshita? Why can't you just study hard or something? So this guy took that out on me at school. So, but fascinatingly enough, looking back at my own life, now I am like having a therapy session here, public therapy session. So I'm sorry. It actually made me stronger. I personally think it actually made me stronger. One day it got to the point where I was like, this is it. And I hit him so hard, ever since I was not bullied at all. So just like the mosquito, my theory is I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a chance. And at some point, my 0 goes to 100, and that's it, done. But realistically speaking, I think it made me stronger. I honestly feel like it made me stronger being bullied as a childhood. Now I recognize bullies. I don't even let them come close to me. So it can be a good thing. I took it as a positive experience in a weird way.
In a very hard way, yeah.
Not everybody can turn that into like, because
I fully agree.
In school, I got picked on.
Suffering. Right.
But when I was in the military, I did not. I had a whole different group of friends, and yeah, we were all very close. But then again, in my adult life, actually very recently, the bullying started again, and it went on for 7 to 10 years. And it just recently came to a stop, but it had to go a different route. But I mean, in school, I got beat up for having a cold because I was sniffing in class. Yeah, so there's no, by some guy who I never talked to in my life. It just, I happened to get on this guy's bad side that day, so I got punched in the back of the head because I was sniffing. And yeah, so yeah,
Yeah. I think like you're saying, they may have special attentions for someone who sets them off in some way, like you both have said, but they also are going to bully whoever they can get away with. I mean, if you think of that man in the town in Missouri some years ago who basically terrorized the whole town. There's a movie based on it. He terrorized the whole town, and he was able to get away with it because he had, I think, a relative who was the sheriff or something. And so for years, he would beat up people. He would take things from people. He was raping women. He was stealing from people, beating people up, and nothing was done. And finally, someone in the town murdered him, and no one would say who it was because they all felt like they had been saved by this guy being murdered. But
Well, not only was he murdered, but it was in front of 6 or 8 witnesses and nobody saw anything.
right, no one
And
would say anything.
Walked up to his truck and shot him in the head.
Right. So they may do it as much as they can get away with, although they may have, like you're saying, special hatred and attention to someone in specific because something about you sets them off. They are jealous of something you have, or they have some special aversion to something about you, whatever it is. But I don't think we can say that the bully draws it necessarily. I mean, the person being bullied draws it from the bully, because if they can get away with it, they will bully everybody. So they're picking someone they can get away with bullying. So they may even pick someone who maybe the teacher does not like to bully because they know the teacher won't stand up for that person, for instance. But yeah.
And the other reality is, sorry, Sherry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Toshita.
No, so the other reality is most times these bullies, they're actually suffering quite a lot. So in my case, the person who bullied me still lives. I met him long after, I mean, now I've gone in my own direction. He's still in the same city doing something his father used to do. He hasn't, in my terms, he hasn't gotten out of the hole. He's still in the same hole where he was 20, 30 years ago. But ironically, he has recognized his own weaknesses and he apologized to me, which made me realize he was suffering for whatever he might be suffering with, he might have been suffering. And that was my opportunity to practice compassion. I was like, yes, I have no hard feelings towards you anymore. Well, I really didn't have any hard feelings towards him, but at that point I was like, yeah, Dan, don't worry about it. You went on your way, I went on my way. I think we are doing both fine in our own ways. That's it. So
sorry, Toshita. That sounds like that story of emerging after drowning, because that person was just so filled with hatred and envy.
Right.
But something happened in the intervening time that emerged at least enough to recognize.
Right, right.
Which is a huge thing.
And I think all of us have life stories like that. If you really look back at your life, whatever that might be, you can always recognize those incidents. It's just you have to sit down and meditate on it. This is what I do. I meditate on it. I try to reflect back on my own life to realize what happened in the last 40 years. Where am I going with it?
Right.
After I learned about this temperament, I feel it's a lot easier for me to accept the differences in my family members, with my family members, because now I realize how stupid it is to get upset with the way they are, because that's the way they are. It came from the past. So why do you have to be so upset that they don't change? Or you have to say, how many more times do I have to tell you that? Then I know that I really wasted my lifetime to say all that. Just accept the way it is. That's the way they are. I'm so glad that I learned all this from this class.
that is such an important part of it, because you kind of see all these dynamics go into everything. It does make, it creates a dispassionate potential when you study this kind of the workings of consciousness and of all of us interacting in consciousness. Yeah, it helps you with that. We are still people. We still have our work to do. You know, we're not there, but or at least I know I'm not. But yeah, but it really helps when you understand more.
Yeah. I had experience being bullied when I was younger, but I think maybe I have something that wasn't brought up as to a reason before. We had a friend, well, a neighbor kid we played with quite a bit for a little while. And he would always have something go wrong. You know, he'd want to do roughhouse, stuff like that. And then he'd get hurt or he'd fake being hurt. And he'd have his dad come over and bully us. Yeah, and it got so bad between our family and his family that I once cut through the corner of their yard on the way to visiting another neighbor, and he saw me. He came out of the house, picked me up by my shirt. This is a built guy. He was in the military. Picked me up by my shirt and threw me into a garden where my head just missed hitting a rock. I felt very thankful that I missed this rock. But we found out years later that our friend, who we no longer associated with because this was such a habit of uh, his mother was being abused by his father. And so there's an insight that we thought, okay, maybe that makes sense. He is drawing his father's attention on something else rather than hitting his mother. So, yeah, they're probably, I mean, he wasn't doing the bullying exactly, but he was getting dad to do it. And so that there's another reason that might have been behind bullying.
Yeah, it's a really sad
Yeah, I
story.
think.
Feel-
Yeah, I
Did you?
think some of those traits are from the sansaric habits. They want to bully anyone on their way. That becomes a habit. And also, like when you are also associated with bad friends, that can really aggravate the situation. So you are in the midst of such bad friends, and they can be, hello, uh, with such friends, and they can motivate. And that is even why we need to have more good friends in our life, so that they can actually help us come out of those situations. And the other thing is, learning the Dhamma can really, really benefit all of us. And see what happens, like people like Hitler, people like some of those terrorist leaders in the world, they must have been bullied in their childhood days too. And now they want to get rid of the entire world society. And luckily, many of us have not been turned to become, like that. And somehow, somewhere, you you had the narrow escape from such an unfortunate destination. you know see what happens now. You have been closer to the Dhamma. You have an opportunity somehow come, and you also have found out a way and not to revenge back from your bullies, right? And you have been so kind to them. One way of um, reacting to the bullies is to be generous. practice meditation to be generous. And let's say like somebody bullies you, and you still don't want to return, and in the bad way. Rather, people might think like you are really a timid person or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It matters only if you feel that way. If you feel like your inner peace is in good tack, and you are going to him and helping him when he needs that, I think that will be such a wonderful lesson that person might learn for the rest of his life and for the rest of his samsara. He wouldn't repeat it again. Because these people, even after having been bullied, coming to me and helping me, you know. So be generous to them, be kind to them, compassionate to them. That will be the Buddhist way of reciprocating to the bullies, I would say. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Like in our New Year Day, people use it to a greater extent, and it really succeeds in many cases. Like when you have some people like that, you go to them and give some gifts, or just, you know, try to mitigate that enmity between them, during the New Year. It would be difficult, but sometimes uh, it can reduce the intensity of the enmity. So eventually it will go away. And the practitioner of meditation, metta practitioner especially, it is very hard. Sometimes I would say like to people, okay, now you think of your enemy. Now you think of your unfriendly one. No, no, no way. I can't even think of it. People can think that way. It is true. At the beginning, it is just like that. You don't even want to think of that person's name. You don't want to have that image in your mind eye, but you need to work on that, and eventually you should be able to mentally send in those powerful energy. And you don't know, you might succeed in sending the good energy to that person. May he be well happy and healthy. May no harm come to him. May no anger come to him, or may no revenge come to him. May no jealousy come to him or her. Maybe that will also be felt to that person. So you do it sincerely, that energy can really help. That's Buddhist way of um, you know dealing with this kind of a situation. I've noticed it works to with some people. It's difficult, but for some it's difficult, but it is still possible. It takes a while, but it is possible to work with that. And I would say like Kali Yakini story. you know um, did I tell that story about the Kali Yakini story? um, so there was one man. He married to a woman, and that woman didn't have kids. And then he brought another wife, and she had kids. And then the previous wife was jealous of that. So what she did, she actually came to know that this woman is pregnant. So she was so close to her like a friend, and eventually she poisoned her, and she had abortion. And then she became pregnant again. She did the same thing. So two times the baby was gone. And then the third time, she did not reveal that to her. She kept it a secret, but you can hide it forever when you are pregnant. And so she was angry that time, and then she was again giving some medicine. And that time, both the mother and the baby died. And at the time of death, the mother was so angry and so revengeful that she thought, I am going to revenge upon you in future births. And then both of them died uh, in the course of time, and the previous one became it is she became an animal, and the other one became chicken. So they were in many births, they were killing each other's children. That happened. And then after a long time, uh, during the Buddha's time, one became a woman again, and the other one became a yakini, demon. And so they did the same thing again. And so finally, they already had the feeling, that is long standing enmity between them. So finally, she took the baby to the Buddha, and the yakini was chasing her, and she could not enter the temple because there were so powerful deities and all. She could not enter. Of course, the Buddha's power would have been enough, but Buddha let her come in, asked her to come in. And then he said, you guys have been fighting for so many births, and you have still not showing any sign of um, ceasing to this, and this one will be really killing each other. And um, yeah, your sansara will be longer and longer. And so you have to think of it now, and make it a break, give it a break. And then yakini uh, promise, I'm not going to do it again. It was enough, done with it. And then Buddha asked the other woman to give the kid to her. Okay, give your kid to her as a mark of respect. And so she actually gave with some doubt, but she also had the confidence that in front of the Buddha, she wouldn't do that. And then she took the baby into her hand and kissed him and gave back. And that was the end of the long-standing enmity between them. So in that Dhammapada story, I think Dhammapada stanza 5, if I'm not mistaken, Nahi verena verani sammantidha kudachanang averena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanantano. Hatred is never appeased through hatred. Hatred is appeased through non-hatred alone. This is an eternal law. So that's how it happens. Even with a very simple something, people can take it to many births in the samsara. It's very, very dangerous. Even if you are a victim, if you try to react to that, you also be a part of that karma. That person was bullying you, he will get the karma, yes. But when you start reacting to that you will also start generating a bad karma. We have to be really careful. That is the nature of the karma. That is the nature of the karma. You will be in that whirlpool, it will be very difficult to. And so it is constant practice and awareness of the Dharma, realization of the Dharma, and the practice that can take out of these situations. It's good to actually share these things in real life situations, so that in our life, all of us have ups and downs in our life. We can help each other and fix those things for the better. Okay. um, so I would like to share with you, if you have any other question, I can, of course, I'm happy to answer. If not, I would like to take you to the I also have shared the meditation masters, some schools of meditation. If you are interested in learning more, I have shared them in the Slack already. So take a look. And also, there is an article about how to create a casino Earth Casino, and so take a look. And then meditation practice. If you need more information, you can have that uh, path of purification and 7 stages of purification. There is another separate book I have shared, and also some better known modern day meditation teachers are there. Interesting people are there too. um, and then some better known Theravada Buddhist teachers are also there, and research. Okay, and then official website of PAVUK Vipassana Meditation Center. Maybe I would like to show you that one over here. Um, yeah, this one. This is the one I said. There are 500 kutis in this jungle, and this is an amazing place in Myanmar. Actually, there is another place where over 2,500 people or 3,000 monks would come from all over the world to practice here. Like sometimes they would come like 3 months, maybe like 1 year, 2 year or more. They would come and stay there, practice. They are simple kutis for you to survive. Very, very wonderful place. Um, and also we have um, Vipassana, uh, S.N. Goenka's Vipassana school, a tradition. I think three important Vipassana schools are there in the world. Very, very powerful. One is PAOK tradition, and PAOK Sayadoji is still alive. And Mahasi Sayadoji's other school of Vipassana meditation also is world famous. And Mahasi Sayadoji actually passed away. And S.N. Goenka, again, is a very important person. All of them are from Myanmar, actually. And S.N. Goenka was not originally Buddhist, but due to his own sickness, he turned to Buddhism. And then he started propagating the Dharma in back home in India. And then he became such an inspiring figure in the world. And just a few years ago, he passed away, and still his tradition is going on with such an interesting pace, even in non-traditional Buddhist countries. They still practice. And then there is an interesting article on temperaments. You can have a look. And I would like to ask if you could recognize this one. Um, if you read that, these are the different kinds of temperament. Um, so, do you think you can recognize your temperament by now? just uh, just asking. It can be very helpful. It can be maybe whether you are a Saddha Charita, Buddhi Charita, Vitakka Charita, or whatever Charita. It can be really interesting. Um, um, take a look, and then we will come back after 10 minutes with a break. Okay, thank you. Did you have a chocolate break? Is that dark chocolate?
This is
When we went to a MAPA for class, we all had a chocolate break.
Really?
Mhm.
So you went to Maba last week?
No, you mean in the before pandemic, we got to go there every
Oh,
other weekend for classes.
mhm.
okay.
And we had to have
Nice.
sugar in the afternoon.
Okay. Okay. Um, I just want to share with you just a few little bit of information, and then we will do something more. And this one is purification. This is called seven purification, 7 stages of purification, Satta Visuddhi. So in this, um, the practitioner uh, will you see the path of practice leading to the attainment of nibbana. So these are those 7 purifications. um, Sila Visuddhi, purification of virtue. Sila is always the first step, and for yours in your spiritual journey. And when you are pure in Sila, you can go to the purification of mind. And so these two will be very, very helpful at the beginning. And then also you can see now how important is the role of our ditti, our view. And if our view is strong, uh, all the rest will be in a precarious situation. Just like how we have.
Hmm?
Uh,
Are you okay? I'm sorry.
okay, so so the TV Suddhi point of view about our life, about the Dhamma, about the realization, worldview, personally how you interpret things, how you look at things. These all depend on your ditti. So that ditti should also be pure, very important. And these things should not be carried away by the unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome roots like lobha, dosa, moha. It should be full of alobha, adosa, amoha. Alobha is the non-greed, adosa is the non-hatred, and amoha is the wisdom. So these good roots should be always there with your visuddhi, with your ditti visuddhi. And then kanka vitarana visuddhi is overcoming doubt. When you have doubt about this thing and that thing, you won't be able to go ahead. You will always vacillate, hesitate in taking one step ahead. So it is very important. This is called kanka vitarana visuddhi. Kanka means doubt. Vitarana means to get out of it. So crossing the doubt. And so purification of overcoming doubt is also, they are actually mutually helpful. You can see Dittha Visuddhi and Kanka Vitarana Visuddhi. And then comes the knowledge and vision of what is path and what is not path. And that again is a big issue. Like if you don't know what is the correct path, and if you don't know what is the wrong path, then you will also be misguided, misdirected, and delusion and illusion by so many other sugar coated beautiful paths that we have on our way. So we have to be really careful about selecting the right path. And for finding the right path, you also have to have kalyana mitta friends again, and learning the dhamma again, and practicing. These things should go together hand in hand all the time, and be mindful about what you know, what you learn, whom you meet, all these things will be depending mutually helpful. So this one, magga magga jnana dasana. Magga means path, amagga is not path, and jnana dasana, you see, you have the vision of the knowledge, and that is the kind of purification we have up to state 5. You can see here all these things like Ditti Visuddhi and Kanka Vitarana Visuddhi. This is purification of view, purification of overcoming doubt, purification by knowledge and vision of what is path and what not and not path. And then the other one, purification by knowledge of vision of the way, Patipada Jnana Dasana Visuddhi. That means you have the path now already. And purification of knowledge and vision, Jnana Dasana Visuddhi. So these are all in your upward journey towards the Nibbana. Our minds will be in direct relation to this seventh and last stage of this series. Purification of by knowing knowledge and vision. So eventually you will also have the knowledge about the whether you have attained sotapanna, whether you have attained sakadagami, anagami, arahanta. All these things will be there with you. That's about the sevenfold purification. Just also wanted to share with you this one. um, can you see this? I don't know if you can see that.
Just one thing.
Oh,
Decaying body, right? I think you were showing
yes.
decaying.
Yeah. Okay, this one, as I mentioned, and the monks used to practice in front of the skeletons, you can see. So they would, this is a cemetery. So they are supposed to practice about the impermanence and the decaying. So corpse meditation is aimed at imparting a deeper understanding of impermanence and helping the practitioner to overcome conditioned states of the mind and emotions. That's another important thing for you guys to know. And now I just want to share with you something that I'm working with. Um, we have been working with this Wikipedia. So this is Wikipali, okay? So and also we have many things working here. I'm translating. So the entire Tripitaka is being translated here. Translating something called Mahanidesa, and so this is a concept, and I'm pretty interested in, and also I thought it's quite useful for us to discuss about this concept as the very end of our discussion about the liberation, about the emancipation. So here in the Tipitaka, when I type Pali word Araha, I can see like 4,184 renderings. And then they also have different variations of the term. You can see here. Arahato is the term that appears most number of times in the Tipitaka, 1,548 times. Araha, 1,278. Arahang, 959. Arahanti, 125. Arahati, 92 times. And all these are actually about Araha. And here we have the list of books that we have this word appearing. Overall 4,184. And Kathavattu Pali, this is Abhidhamma text. 813 times we find. Apadana Atthakatha has 167, Mahavagapali 157, Yamakapali 111, Majjhima Pannasapali 104, Panchapakaranatakatha 84, and this is the book I'm working on called Mahanidesapali. We do have 81 appearance. So if I click on that, I can go to the original quotations from the suttas. And if I work on this, I have actually translated uh, many of these things. And so I would like to share with you, uh, maybe I will just show you how I did it. Over here, um, Sangvijjati arahato chakku passati araha. So word by word translation about that paragraph. And when you click here, for example, you can see the word and also all the details. This is verb, third person, singular, and present tense, and this is the parent, and then it is also it also has the translation. And why I wanted to show that, it's actually because it is about our topic, araha. So this particular term, araha, is important. For my thesis also, I used my topic, thesis of the topic is philosophy of Arahanta ideal as depicted in Mahanidesa Pali. So I found that is a very useful one to share with you also. And yes, so we are working with most of the monks. Actually, we have here some monks from mainland China. They are Theravada practitioners. Some of them are stationed in Myanmar, and nowadays it is little bit hard, but we are working, and I'm translating these things, and we do it live actually every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. I think I start my class through Zoom, and some of the other students also join us. So I translate and we discuss. And over here, I want to say um, this sutta about araha, the term araha. You can see araha, araha, all these araha, and Sangvijjati arahato chakku passati araha chakkuna rupang chandarago arahato nati suimutta chitto araha. And so same thing with sotang, and then same thing with ghana, and then also with the other five faculties. So the araha, arahanta person has chakku, eye, so he can see the rupa through the eye, but he doesn't have chandaraga. He doesn't have chandaraga, and that is the difference between that person and the other people. You can see here chandaraga, impulse and lust. He doesn't have that, and that is the difference. Although he can see uh, rupa or the form through his eyes, he doesn't have chandaraga, because suvimutta chitto araha, his mind, his chitta is well liberated. And sangvijjati arahato sotang, he also has the sota, ear. He can see by the ear. He can hear by the ear, but he doesn't have lust, and as I mentioned here, impulse and lust. He doesn't have that, and because his mind is well liberated. And same thing with the ghana. He has the nose and he can smell, but he doesn't have chandaraga. And then he has jivha, the tongue. He can taste, but he doesn't have Chandaraga. And he has the body, he can touch, but he doesn't have the Chandaraga because his mind is well liberated. And that is why he's called Araha. And that is why he doesn't um, generate any karma anymore. And same thing here, this is the 10th chapter of Mahanidesapali. In Mahanidesapali, we have 16 chapters, and 10th chapter discusses about that. And then 5th chapter, Paramattaka Sutta Nidesa, says, Katamang Arahat Chattaviti Tadi, Arahato Rago Chatto Vanto Mutto Pahino Patinisatto. So the Arahanta person is called Tadi, Chattaviti Tadi, because Arahanta person has got rid of raga. So the attachment, and also dosa, moha, kodha, upanaha, makha, palasa, issa, machariya, maya, sateya, thambha, sarambha, mana, atimana, mada, pamada, sabbe kilesa, all defilement, sabbe ducharita, all bad conduct, sabbe daratha, sabbe parilaha, sabbe santapa, Sabba Kusala Sankara, Chattavanta Mutta Paina. So um, that person actually has got rid of all the defilements. Therefore, he is called Chattavi. And there's another one here in the 5th chapter, also called Muttavi. Arhato Raga Chittang Muttang. So same thing actually, but just a word difference here. Same paragraph, same chapter. And then again here in the third chapter, Dutthataka Sutta Nidesa, Athava Ariyena Attangikena Mage Sabbe Kilesa. So here the Arahanta person has got rid of these defilements through Ariya Attangika Magga, Noble Eightfold Path. And that is another one here. Therefore, the Arahanta person is called Dhona, because these ducharita, or the bad conducts and all the defilements have been washed away by him. Dhota, Dhuta, Sandhota, Nidhota, they have been completely washed away by him. Therefore, he is also called Dhona, Dhona Dhamma, and that's another term here. And in the Paramattaka Sutta Nidesa again, uh, Ittanitte Tadi. So that means like he is not being moved by labha or alabha, like the 8 vicissitudes, labha, alabha, ayasa, yasa, ninda, pasansa, sukha, dukkha. Labha is the gain, and alabha is the loss, yasa is the fame, and ayasa is the defame. Pasansa, when somebody appreciates you, ninda is when somebody blames you, and sukha is the happiness, and dukkha is the suffering. These are the ups and downs in our life. And when these things happen, the Arahanta person is maintaining tadi, that is equanimity, and he is not really um, worried about anything. It's really important to see here Gandhena Limpeyu, even if his body, the whole body is applied with some fragrance, he doesn't worry. And even if someone cut his body, amputated, and he is not worried. I mean, his inner peace will still be there. He is not generating any karma anymore. And he doesn't have raga, and he doesn't have patigha, no lust, no attachment, no ill will. And therefore he is called Ittanitethadi. And then again in the Paramattaka Sutta Nidesa, Tinnaviti Tadi, he is called Tinnavi, means he has crossed over. He has crossed over from Kama Ogha. Kama is the desire. That is a flood. Karma is such a strong flood, and that we, all of us, all the people in this karma world can be very easily swept away by that. That is why it is very difficult to get rid of karma, and it is much more stronger than tsunami, this ogre called karma. So karma oghang tinno, the arahanta person has crossed over that, and he also has crossed over the bhava ogre, the existence, and ditti ogre. You see the ditti, the view. We were talking about the purification of those seven views, and that dogmatic view can itself be a hindrance to you. So the arahanta person has come out of that. And avidya is the last one, last but not the least, and such a powerful, strong ogre or current that we can easily be swept away anytime at any point. So he has also crossed over all these four ogres. Therefore, he is called Tinnavi. And then he is also called Katang Araha Tam Niddese Tadi, Tam Niddesa Tadi, Araha Sile Sati Silavati, Tam Niddesa Tadi. So, Sila, Saddha is the confidence, Sila is the morality, and then Virya is the effort, and then Sati is the mindfulness, and then Samadhi is the concentration, Panya is the wisdom, and Vijja is the knowledge, and Abhinya is those psychic powers, and all of them he has, and he has Katang Araha Tang Niddesa Tadi, Evang Araha Tang Niddesa Tadi, Ti Parangato Na Pacheti Tadi, and he has come out of these, and he is maintaining a very wonderful equanimity. And then in the Jarasutta Nirdesa again, it is almost the same thing that we were discussing before about the Arahanta persons, how Arya Atangika Magga Noble Eightfold Path has helped him come out of these defilements by way of washing away all the defilements. Purabheda Sutta Nirdesa, the number 10, again talks about Chakku Ruparamang Ruparatang Rupa Samuditang, how the eye can see the Rupa, and you become attached to that, and you become so engrossed with that, and you create karma. An Arahanta person has already tamed it, he has protected it, and he has a good discipline, and also he can he preaches the Dhamma in order to protect yourself, restrain yourself from becoming attached to the Rupa. The same thing with the Saddha, the Sota, ear, Ghana, nose, Jivha, tongue, and all these things are discussed here. Therefore, Arahanta person is Danto, Gutto, Rakhito, Sanguto. His five faculties are tamed and protected and disciplined and restrained. And also he preaches the Dhamma in order to restrain oneself, protect oneself from these five faculties. And this one, I think I would come to this point and maybe come back to you. And here the Arahanta person, very interesting. Suddhin Asuddhinti Apathayano. Um, Actually, this particular text, Mahanidesa Pali, has not yet been translated into English. So I'm the first one to um, uh, like being recommended by Bhikkhu Bodhi and some other monks to translate this book as a part of my thesis. So I was doing it. And I found it very fascinating to see the theme of Arahanthood. That's why I wanted to share with you that as well. So in this, it is like a certain lines of the Atthakavagga of Sutta Nipata have been much more explained here. And Suddhin Asuddhinti Apattayano, that means Suddhi is pure and Asuddhi is impure, and Apattayano is not wishing for. So some people like to do unwholesome things. They aspire to do unwholesome things, and that is called asuddhin. Suddhinti means, like in this karma world, we also like to do some good things, but they can still be related to the five sense desires. And so eventually the person who has come out of these would be over here is an important thing. Suddhin asuddhinti pathinti putujjana kalyanake niyamaka niyamavakanti. That means someone wants to do good for the putujjana people. Putujjana means mundane people. And then Sekha, this one is important. We were talking about learning. We are still not even in the stage of learning. Imagine that. And if you are not Sotapanna, you are not even a Sekha, you are not even a learner. And here, Sekha Aggadhammang Arahantang Pathinti. So the Sotapanna or the Sekha person, there are 7 Sekha. Sotapanna Maggapala, Sakadagami Maggapala, Anagami Maggapala, and Arahanta Magga. These are the 7 people who are called learners, and their final goal is to be achieve arahanthood. And arahatte patte araha neva akusale dhamme pathinti. When you achieve arahanthood, you do not have any kind of final goals, nothing. No no final goals for you. Everything is done. And napi aggadhammang arahattang pattinti. So their final goal is not even to become arahanta, because they have already done away with it. And pathana samatikkanto araha. So arahanta person already has overcome. Pathana is aspirations. Any kind of aspirations are not there with them. And then here it says, so Vuttha Vaso Chinna Charano, he has lived the life of a practitioner, and also he has conducted the practice of a practitioner. And Jati Mara Jara Marana Sansaro Nati, he has already got rid of Jati, birth, Jara, decay, and Marana, the death of the samsara. Nati tassa punabhavo, he does not have a punabhava, rebirth. Suddhin asuddhinti apattayano means just this. This is the meaning of suddhin asuddhin apattayano. Okay. Yeah, this one I just wanted to share with you from the real time Tipitaka, and how they are so important, actually vividly portrayed in the Tipitaka, the concept of Arahantahud, the philosophy of Arahantahud. When you are in that level, no more aspirations, no more attachment, no more Chandaraga, nothing. So you will be so free, light as a bird. Okay, so any questions? Any thoughts?
I just think it's really interesting about the translation. And you know that page where you had each word with, in the blocks? Could
Yeah.
you put a copy of that in the Slack? Would that be easy? Because it's very interesting. I'd like to look at
Okay, let me
if that's possible.
Yeah, I can take a screenshot, you mean?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because just the process of translating is interesting.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
at Wikipala. Okay.
Wikipali, yeah, wikipali.org. So we are actually promoting Wiki Pali with Wiki. So Wikipedia and Wiki Pali. So we coined the term here as Wikipali, and we have Wikipali library, and also we have different classes, and yeah, you can see the Pali canon and lessons. Palipedia, again, like Wikipedia, we have Palipedia. And a beautiful dictionary also is there. We have a number of dictionaries integrated to this, and so we can actually work on that. Let me show you that. I think she was talking about this one, right? Yeah, this. Um, so let's say like arahato, like let's say like chakku, easy one. So they were like all Pali. So I had to do all these things all by like manually do all these things. But the beauty is when you do it once, and if it is repeated, you can apply here apply to three same words, and if you click it, you don't have to do it again. And you can see here chakku is the root, and then u is this is the I, and this is a singular, and then we click here and it will become the meaning, and this is noun. And so all these things are also singular nominative case, and uh, that's about this. And over here we have this one, and you can go to each paragraph here, and if you click here, this is each sentence. So sentence by sentence translation also is possible. And over here you can see our students, and once I do this, our students also can help us in putting them into sentences. I is available to the liberated one. The liberated one sees form through I, and then there is no impulse and lust to the liberated one, because the liberated one's mind is well released. There is no impulse and lust to the liberated one. So ear is also available to the liberated one. You can see here they can also we can see the student's name who contributed and putting these things into sentences. Yeah, that's about it. So you want a screenshot of this, Dr. Beth?
Yeah, I find it really interesting if that's easy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you
Thank
want this e-sentence, or
I don't, any sentence is good, really. I just like to see the process of how much you're working on it.
sure. Okay.
Thanks.
Here we go. Okay. All right. I can share with you that one. Um, what was your question, Francesca?
The same comments that Beth was making about this, seeing the declensions of the words.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was this website a year and a half ago when we were in poly class?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Bhante, are you looking for volunteers for translation?
Yes, you are welcome.
I'd be happy to chime in if the opportunity is given.
That will be great. Yeah. So we meet every Wednesday, Pacific time. I think maybe I can.
We
share.
can chat offline. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Let me know. Yeah, this is the screenshot I just shared with you. A very interesting website. Hopefully one day it will become very helpful resource like Sutta Central. Sutta Central is a beautiful one too. Actually, Sutta Central, that Bante also asked me to translate this book in his website. So hopefully I will share it later on with him too. So a lot of people can be benefited. Okay, so we can do many things. I already have started teaching some Pali classes. We have Pali level 101, level 1 and level 2, and also we started teaching in Hindi medium to Indian students. It's also going, we have been teaching Pali for a while. So some of those students in different parts of the world are joining us in working with the Pali. I eventually want people to learn Pali and read the suttas by themselves. Eventually that will help too. Yeah. Okay. Any question? So far, okay. So far, so good.
We only have 1 hour left, so I do have one question I was holding off from the morning
Okay.
session.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry. I told you I had a lot of bundle of questions today. So anyway, we talked about samatha and vipassana in the morning, and I don't necessarily think we went into a deeper discussion on vipassana. Maybe we did. So the question is, in samatha, I noticed there was a kaya
Pasana.
anusati, right? So
Kaya gata sati.
kaya gata sati. Thank you. Yes. In Vipassana, there is Kaya Anupassana, definitely Kaya Anupassana. In Satipatthana Sutta, I vividly remember the simile where you have different grains in one bag, you cut open it on one side, and when the grains. So I have unfortunately seen a video where someone's stomach is opened up and his intestines fall out. So every time I read that sutta, that's the image that's in my mind. I notice it. So if you can see the body as like a whole bunch of nasty stuff, you really don't get attached to the body. My question was something along the lines. So I've come across text where one school of thought is in Vipassana, you meditate, different things come to your mind, you just acknowledge what comes to your mind and let it go and come back to breathing. In a different school of thought, I've read about, yes, distractions are going to come, but you will try to like push them away, which to me feels like a contradiction. They're different things. I get it. I mean, you can do it one way or the other, but it might be someone's interpretation at some point, and which branched off to two different directions. I just not trying to put you on the spot, but I just wanted to find out what your thoughts about the process of vipassana and how to go about vipassana in that sense, I guess.
Okay, like vipassana is insight. Look into yourself, right? And here we talk about whenever we have vipassana, it's also something to do with the three characteristics: anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanent, and suffering, and no permanent entity. So this is how we think. Like, let's say, even the pain, when you meditate, you have some back pain, so you focus on that, and the pain is like you try to locate that pain. It's not there. And maybe the intensity changes, and oh, it jumps from here to there, and it's not permanent. Nothing is permanent, and it changes. And so anicca means yadanichang tang dukkhang. If something is suffering, I mean, if something is impermanent, that is suffering. This is the thing. Like you want something forever, but it is not there. Like you want to be younger forever, it's not there. So you, when you become like older and older, you like start to get little bit of stressed. Try to maybe camouflage with certain things. So you try, it doesn't happen. So important thing here is to realize that it is impermanent. Everything is subject to change, and including all conditioned things are subject to change. So that way, if we try to identify, recognize every single thing that is more and more impermanent and more changing, and every single thing is changing. If you take one hair, and it's also changing every single millisecond, your hair is growing. Every single millisecond, your cells are, coming, appearing and disappearing. So that impermanence is there. And no matter how much you try to, retain that bhava tanha, is, you want to have that for a longer time, but it is not there, and that existence is not there. And so just understanding that will be very helpful. So in vipassana, you think appears, and then stays for a while, and upada, thiti and bhanga. Appears, stays for a while, and bhanga is gone. So that is the nature of all cells, all everything in our body and outside, in and outside the body. All those elements, four elements, if you take that into consideration, also will be just like that. Even the energy you can see, it's vibrating, right? It's not the same thing that we find all the time changing. Only through maybe microscopic lens, we could, magnifying glass, maybe we can see it in a better lens. Otherwise, we don't see it. And our ignorance, our attachment, our desires, and all these things can really trick us, and illusion and delusion. So we don't see those things. So I think in vipassana practice, we can start from anapanasati, we can start from buddhanusati, we can start from metta bhavana, any of these things, and then switch to vipassana. Like you practice on breathing, and then maybe you have pain, so you go and then focus on that, and then maybe after that you can come back to. And even the breathing itself is impermanent. Every time breathing, upada, thiti and bhanga starts and appears, stays and gone, right? Disappears. So every single breath is a reflection of our own birth and death. Every single breath, every time we wink our with our eyelids, it's also a reflection of our death, impermanent. So they are all wonderful teachings. And I think um, as you mentioned, there are some cases like where you just observe. Okay, in some cases you just observe, like let's say anger comes to you, observe it. Do not try to panic, just observe it. And anger can become a wonderful object of meditation, because anger is something, if you use it in the right manner, anger is something that you can see very clearly. When you are angry, your whole system is, alarmed, and you can see, you can feel your ears become red, and your head becomes like so hot, and your heart pumping, and your nervous system, bloodstream, muscles, everything changes. So that is a good sign. Hey, I get it. I recognize it, I observe it. And do not panic, just observe it. It will help you, and anger will become your friend, and who will not harm you anymore after that. And that it will not because you are not reacting to that. Oh, hello, come on. Come on, anger. Hi. You can say hi to anger, and anger will not establish in your system. And the problem is, many of us don't even know, with our ignorance, anger will come to us, jealousy will come to us, all these ill wills, all the greedy, all these things will come to us and establish in our system if we are not aware of it. Just be mindful will be really, really helpful to us. Remember, and when you are a good practitioner later on, you can also push them back, yes. You can bounce them back, yes, but not at the beginning. At the beginning, do not try to reciprocate, because if you try to reject the anger, anger will be even more angrier and it will react even more stronger, and you never know what will happen to you. So be careful about that. Anger can become uh, hatred. To be angry is perfectly natural and human. But if you turn the anger into hatred, that will become the killer. That will take you to so many births like Kali Akini story. So to be angry is fine. You get angry, you expect something done. But if you hold it, that will be a very deadly poison tree in you, growing silently, killing yourself and the others. That's why I think it's important to know the impermanence and the change, and also it's important to know, to be aware and mindful. And it is all about practice. It doesn't happen to you overnight, I'm telling you, but it is not impossible. You can do it, keep doing it. It will take time, its own time, and depending on your temperament, depending on your capacity, but you can do it. You can do it. And the day you recognize it, hello, I'm angry, hello, I'm jealous, and that will be the day you will enjoy it actually. The more you become angry, the more enjoy you become, because you're not going to react. You're not going to use it to harm others. You're not going to use it to even say something bad to others. No harsh words to others, and no slandering with those ill will and jealousy thoughts. And you don't even think in mentally. So bodily, verbally, and mentally, three ways, right? So all the three sense doors will be um, disciplined eventually if you keep practicing. Did I answer
Bante,
the
I
question?
was thinking about all these conflicts. Of course, we will have lots of conflicts in the past lives. Now we realize that someday all those will come at us. So, what do we do now? They haven't come yet. Maybe the external conditions haven't ripened yet, but one day they will come. So before they come, what should we do now?
Okay, so first of all, um, I want to say most of us have the problem of either we are lost in the past or in the future. Most of the time we think of our past. Oh, what was I doing yesterday? Or what was I doing? And like when you are meditating, also you are thinking of your past, and that's not meditation. And you close your eyes and sit silently, but you are thinking of your past means it's not meditation. Or else you are worrying about your future. So one way is you are worrying about your past or you're worrying about your future. That is uh, not what we need. We need to be at this moment, right here, right now. So to be at the right moment, present moment is our challenge. So don't worry about the future. Why do you worry about the future? Just stay right here, right now, and enjoy this blissful moment. Every time you do it, you don't worry and you don't get stressed anymore. because you don't worry. You never know what will happen to us later on, right? So why do you worry then? Even if you don't know anything, unless you have some maybe a system that you can predict, okay, this is exactly what's going to happen to you, that's fine. And if not, then why do we worry? Whatever happens, we accept it, right? Death will come, accept it. Disease will come, accept it. Don't panic. Don't trigger the panic button. Should be okay. So I think that way you don't worry about your past. And remember, conditions you create yourself. You created the suffering, and you are the one creating the conditions too. So you are the one actually create a God, not anyone else. You created this world, and so you are the one to come out of that too. And yeah, that's it.
I think the only thing that we can definitively predict is the death. That's all. Everything else is
Yeah.
no point.
See, even the death, like people so worry about death, but how many times we die? It's not the first time. So many times we have died and we will die, right? So you will be born in another realm. So why worry then? That's another thought. That's another moment. And thinking of that little moment, and if you worry for the rest of your life, it doesn't make sense. So enjoy your life, enjoy the present moment, and not to worry about future. I mean, you need to have some, of course, some positive energy, but not to disturb that inner peace, so that you worry. It doesn't help. Even if you are going to die, let's say like you are drowning in the ocean or something, just okay, just try not to panic. You will slowly and peacefully drown. That's fine. And then you will be born in a better realm maybe. Think of some good thing that you have done and not worry of anything. Just maybe try to focus on your breath. Which is not going to be easy for sure, but with constant practice, anything is possible. As I said, the person who practices anapanasati, he or she can recognize his or her last breath. Now, this is my last breath. I'm going to breathe out my last breath and I'm done. And in Mahan Parinibbana Sutta, the Buddha says, I mean, Venerable Anuruddha actually, Buddha taught the last words, Handadani bhikkhave amayantayami vo vayadhamma sankhara appamadena sampadeta. I'm addressing you for the last time, monks. Um, uh, be mindful, work hard diligently, and get out of this samsara. That was his last word. And then with that, he closed his eyes. And then he went to jhanas. One by one, he went to jhanas and samapatis. Up and down he went. The Buddha was, and so all the monks, they were crying, the lay people were crying and wailing, and Venerable Ananda was so worried too. And he's really was kind of panicking. And then he asked Venerable Anuruddha, the foremost among the divine eyes, did he pass away? Is he gone now? And Venerable Anuruddha said, no, 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 he's still there. He's still, going into his jhanas. And then he went to the fourth jhana, Ashtasamapatis, and after that he stopped breathing. So they kind of recognize all these things. Very interesting, very fascinating story of the last moments of the Buddha in Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Beautiful. um, yeah, so if we also practice, we can hopefully not worry about the death. Death is just another. Actually, we die every moment. Night, morning, morning, the sunrise is another birth. Sunset is another death, right? Every time we see that, and every breath we take, Inhale is a birth, exhale is a death. Every time we close our eyes, we see the darkness, and then we see the light. That reflects the birth and death. And we see the flowers blooming in the morning and decaying in the evening. Death and birth. You see, everything is just like that. So we have seen in our own ways, we have seen the world system appearing and disappearing. And in the Brahma world, they see many more in details too for a longer time. So it's time uh, to practice and to be mindful.
I also have another question from yesterday. Out of the in the sensuous, sensuous blissful planes, there's the one called realm of gods who lord over the creation of others. Could you explain this? What creation is that? What are the others?
Uh, yeah, this is, I think, about the Paranimita Vasavati, right? Uh, Nimmanarati. Uh, Nimmanarati.
Kamasugati. Kamasugati.
Kamasupati, yes. Nimmanarati and Paranimita Vasavati.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes.
So if you go to the text, I think it is. Let me see. Um, it is in the. Uh, so Nimmanarati is like they have their own creation, and whatever they have created for their divine world, because of their good karma, so they are happier. That is what they mean here too. Let me see, double check. This is Hetu Pache, no? This is not Kamatana, right? Oh, this is chapter 5, I think. Yeah, that's in chapter 5, right, right. Know what you mean, yeah. The heavenly worlds. Okay, I will get back to that, and maybe um, Dr. Beth say something until I find it. I almost got it.
I can look for it in the CMA. But I think it was the minor gods who are still in the sense sphere, the devas.
Yeah, Nimmanarati and Paran. So the first deva is Chatu Maharajika, the four guardian, and then it goes to Tavatinsa, the 33, and then it goes to Yama, and then Tusita, the happiness, and then it is the Nimmanarati, I guess. And then the Paranimita Vasavati is the last one in the heavenly realms. They are all, um, celestial beings. They are all celestial beings. I mean, the heavenly, not in the Brahma realm. So Brahma realm is different, more powerful than this.
The one she's asking about is Nimanarati.
Yeah, did you get it?
Yeah. So yeah, they're in the sensual realm.
I was just wondering, what do they create? Is it the Lord over the creation?
Oh, that's power.
It's a realm of gods.
Yeah.
Create for themselves?
Buddhavasa, Asanya Satya. Yeah, here we go. So Nimmanarati, those who delight in the created mansions. So they are happy in their created mansions. But Paranimita Vasavati, those who bring under their sway things created by others. So one already created for them, and they are delighted in them, and the other like also created by para nimmita vasavati, means they have been created by others. So nimmanarati is looks like because of their own good karma, like their mansions are created. It is said some devas had let me show you this one. So some devas had a body over here. You can see those who delight in the created mansion. This is page number 272. So their created mansions would be their own heavenly abode. Okay, that heavenly abode may be their own body, maybe their own space. They have their own space. So for them to be happy throughout that lifetime, Nimmanarati. And in the case of Paranimita Vasavati, means their mention have been created by others. So these are the 6 celestial planes, all temporary blissful abodes, where beings are supposed to live happily, enjoying fleeing pleasures of sense. Superior to these sensuous pleasures are planes are Brahma realms, where beings delight in jhanic bliss achieved by renouncing sense desire. So these are all happy realms. These are all happy realms, but um, naturally they have that happiness for a longer time. That is the only difference, in fact.
So,
Like
these people, these gods, like, it's like as if you imagined like you're perfect, whatever, and they just imagine it and live in it. And the other ones live in some perfect whatever that somebody else imagined. But
yes,
then when you get past the central sphere, then they're living in a consciousness that's more purified, not a glorified sensual realm.
uh, I think like yes, the body itself is you maybe like a body made of flowers, or body radiating a lot of fragrance, or like when you extend your hand, you can do magic, and also you are so mm, like shining all the time, and they have their different energy levels. They exercise those power and energy through that good karma, and maybe this one actually is their own mansion, means their own heavenly abode, one created by themselves and the other created by the others. Those are the 2 different levels. As long as you know what one time Buddha took his cousin Nanda. Nanda was getting married to almost about to get married. And Buddha went to his palace and he gave him the bowl, uh, the and then begging bowl, alms bowl, and then he gave it to him and he followed the Buddha, thinking, okay, the Buddha would take his bowl back at the gate, or maybe at the door. He was expecting that, but the Buddha did not ask, give me my bowl. He didn't ask that. So he had to follow the Buddha to the temple, and then he went there, and then the Buddha asked, do you want to become a monk? Then now he cannot refuse. He thought now Bhadda Kachayana is waiting, you know. And now the Buddha is asking, do you want to become a monk? And he said, okay. Maybe he thought like maybe for few days I will become a monk. And then he became a monk, and now he was thinking of his, future wife. And how can I go back? When I do I finish this retreat or something he was thinking. And then one day the Buddha asked, do you want to go to heaven with me? Okay. He said okay. And then okay, catch my finger and I will take you to the heaven. So on the way, he created a place where uh, a, a burnt cultivation land, and that in that land there was a monkey, burnt monkey. So Nanda saw that, and then he went to the heaven, and then he saw many beautiful angels. And then now he was like comparing, uh, oh, compared to these beautiful angels, Bhaddha Kachayana is like a burnt monkey. And then all these, like now his mentality also changed. And then Buddha said, came back. So how do you think now? Are you okay now? Yes, I'm okay, but I'm still thinking of, Bhaddha Kachayana. And then Buddha said, maybe you can get more angels, like, if you practice well. And so somehow he actually changed his mindset and he became Arahant later on. It took time, but he used his own way to change his mindset. It is said he eventually became angel. Arahant. So in the heavenly realms, there are certain devas who really enjoy all the sensual pleasures, and many of them all enjoy actually. It's just by default they have the comfort, they have the happiness, they have the joy, rapture, everything, but only for a certain period of time, maybe for a long, long time. But it is only there for a while, and they have to come back to the sansara. Same thing with the Brahmaram, even more longer time, and then again they have to come back to the sansara. And it's very good that we are born as human beings, so we can, think smart, and we can achieve some magga phala, or try our best to do something. Oh, really? Okay, maybe. Yes. Do you want to have a look at I think it is almost time, but I will go through the glossary in the Quizlet. Okay, I will just go through the Quizlet.
Bhante, also, I've gotten some questions about like which words will be necessary to actually learn for the exam. I don't know if you go through, maybe you could just kind of mention the most important ones.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks.
Let me go to the chapter. That is Quizlet. Maybe on our um, revision day we can also think of it. And over here, I actually gave all the important words for the lesson today. There are a lot more, but they have also been repeated. Okay. So kammatthana, subject of for meditation, and samatha, calm, and vipassana, insight. There can be more translations too. And kasina, just say kasina also would be fine. Object of focus in meditation. Asubha is impurity. And when we're talking about the decomposed bodies and all, asubha. Anusati, reflection of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha and all these 10 anusatis. And then appamanya is illimitables or Brahma Viharas. And sanya is the perception, that is like the thing, it is the food that we were talking about. Um, and Vavatthana is the analysis of the four elements. And arupa is immaterial. Just also say arupa or immaterial would be fine. So rupa is material, arupa is immaterial. Raga is the lust. So raga charita is the temperament or the character. So raga charita means lustful temperament. Um, I just give you the Pali words, maybe like it'll be helpful, but don't worry about the Pali words, okay? I mean, that should be okay. If you don't know the Pali word, that's perfectly, I understand. We both understand that. Just make it a habit, because I'm so familiar and comfortable with Pali, so I want to keep them both together, because I can also explain with Pali more than the English term, because I know the roots of these Pali words. Easy for me. And so you can select. You are fine with the English term. Do whatever you like. It's fine. And we don't expect you to write all the Pali words. No way. If you, of course, you are welcome to do so if you like, but that's not required. So Raga Charita, lustful temperament, and Dosa Charita is hateful temperament, and Moha Charita is ignorant temperament, and Saddha Charita is devout temperament, like devotion here. And Vitaka is always, that person is, Taka is like thinking, like logically thinking, trying to, be logical all the time. So they also have discursive temperament. Buddhi is intelligence, so they have intelligent temperament. And Parikama Bhavana is the preliminary mental culture, that when someone does like breathing, you see the breathing. And Upachara is the proximate mental culture, uh, Upachara Bhavana, proximate mental culture. And Appana Bhavana is concentrative mental culture, little bit more. These three things go together, and this one is more advanced. And then again, the nimitta, the sign, this will also be very useful. Parikama nimitta, the preliminary sign when you practice. And then Ugga nimitta is the abstract sign that you can see without the external help, maybe. That will also be another intermediate state. But when it comes to Patibhaga Nimitta, that will become a much more improved version of your Nimitta. And then 10 kasinas are there, Pathavi, earth, and then Apo, water, and Tejo, fire, Vayo, air, Nila, blue, Pita, yellow, and Lohita, red, Odata, white, Akasa, sky, Aloka, light. They are the 10 kasinas that we have. And then these are the bodies. Uh, Uddhu Mataka, bloated corpse, Vinilaka, discolored corpse, Vipubbaka, festering corpse, and Vichiddaka, disjoint corpse, and Vikaitaka, eaten corpse, and Vikitaka, scattered corpse, and Hatavikitaka, mangled corpse, and Lohitaka, bleeding corpse, and Pulavaka, worm invested corpse, and Attika is the final skeleton of the body. So different forms of the body through some time. And Anusati here, this we have the 10 Anusati. Buddha Anusati, reflection on the Buddha. Dhamma Anusati, reflection on the Dhamma. And Sangha Anusati, reflection on the Sangha. Reflection on the morality, Sila Anusati. Chaga Anusati, reflecting on the generosity. Devata Anusati, reflection on deities. And Upasamana, so the reflection of peace. And this one is actually about the Nibbana, the Nibbanic peace. That is what we um, intend here. Marananusati is reflection on death. And Kayagata Sati, reflection on the body of 32 characteristics, 32 body parts. Anapanasati, reflection on the mindfulness on breathing. So same thing with all these, you can practice with this. If you want to listen to the pronunciation, subject for meditation. These are all there, and you can also practice if you like to improve your maybe Dhamma knowledge. And also this, if you keep doing it, actually, this will also establish in your memory. These are step-by-step ways to help you out, how to practice these things. Maybe I will ask you something if you can help. What is Ea Kasina? Can someone give an idea? Ea Kasina, Vayo, Apo, Odata, Vavatthana, Pita.
Vayo.
Vayo, okay. That is right. Number 2 here. And how about this one? Yellow Kasina.
Yellow. Pita. Pita.
Yeah, Pita. Okay, good. What about water Kasina?
Apple.
Apo, yes. Water Kasina is Apo. How about white Kasina?
Odata.
Odata, yes. Odata Kasina, right. Analysis. Now it's clear.
Vatatthana.
Vavatthana. Okay, nice. So reflection.
Anusati.
Anusati, good. Devout temperament.
Saddha.
Saddha Charita, wonderful. Discolored corpse. Like blue color corpse. Vinilaka, okay. Fire Kasina.
Tejo.
Tejo, yes. Red Kasina.
Oh, that. Oh, no, I'm going to butcher it. Oh, that.
Toshita, something like that.
Lohita, Lohita, Lohita.
Toshita.
Lohita also means blood. Okay, what about this immaterial? Which one?
Arupa.
Arupa, yes. Bleeding corpse. Just mentioned that.
Lohita.
Yeah, see blood. Eaten corpse. Yeah, I think it should be Vikitaka. Should be Vikitaka, I guess. Reflection on generosity. Which one?
Aganusati.
Chaga Nusati. Chaga means giving away. Preliminary sign.
This is some sort of a nimitta. Parikamma.
Yes, parikama nimitta. It is nimitta. Sign means nimitta. Sometimes, yes, you have to be little smart. Okay, true or false? Reflection on peace. Marana nusati. True or
False. False. Marana. Death.
yes. Blue kasina. Neela
True.
kasina. True, good. Skeleton. Asubha.
Yes. True.
Okay. And insight. Vavatthana.
False.
False.
False, good. And reflection on mindfulness on breathing. Silanusati.
Anapanasati.
False.
Nice. Very good. So, okay. That's very good. So please keep practicing. That will actually, give you some kind of help. Okay. So with that, it's time to say thank you for joining, and thank you for your time and energy, enthusiasm, and also thank you for asking questions and also patiently listening to the bad come sometimes torturing, but these things will help hopefully. Maybe not 100%, but at least you expanded your territory already. Your space uh, is much more enriching now, and hopefully we all learn together, practice together. Maybe you never know, we meet the Buddha together and listen to the Dhamma together, right? Hopefully so. And with the good intention, may you all be well, happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you, help you, protect you, and guide you towards the right path. May all of us, may all of you be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. May all your family members, friends and relatives, elders and teachers all be good and be helpful to and everyone. And may they all be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. May all the departed ones of all of you also receive all the merits that we accrued throughout our life, throughout our samsara, by way of all our dana sila bhavana. May they be well, happy, and healthy and safe wherever they are. May all of them, may all sentient beings, may all heavenly beings, all the Brahmas, all the Devas, and all of us be able to achieve the absolute peace and happiness, the perfect Nibbana, the supreme bliss of Nibbana at the end of our samsara. With that, let us keep our palms together close to our heart and say 3 times, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. I would like to chant a small uh, version of Pali chanting to invoke blessings upon all of you, your near and dear ones, and all this wonderful Maba community. and everyone in the world. May they all be well, happy, and healthy and safe. Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinassato mate bhavattvantarayo sukhi dighaayuko bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te Abhivadana silis niccang vaddha pachayino chattaro dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu sadhu sadhu sadhu. Thank you, everyone.
Turuan Saranay Bante, Turuan Saranay.
Thank you.
Bante, Dr. Jacobs,